Dates on the calendar that pass as mere numbers, unnoticed and uncelebrated by the masses, yet in the unseen realms, they stand as monuments of irrevocable change. February 11th was one such date, while the three-dimensional reality around you likely appeared to continue its monotonous, mechanical course. Something of tectonic magnitude shifted deep within the bedrock of your consciousness. You may have felt it not as an explosion, but as a sudden, strange stillness, or perhaps an exhaustion that sleep could not cure. For the chosen, this was not just another day. It marked a point of inflection, what the mystics might call a noite absurda, or an absurd night, where the heavy veil separating your burning desire from solid fact was finally torn. You have spent a lifetime feeling like an outsider, sensing a glitch in the matrix of social interaction. But I am here to tell you that this sense of alienation was never a biological error or a social failing. It was the mark of the fourth dimension operating within a three-dimensional vessel. If you are sensing that the old maps of your life no longer lead to where you want to go, and you are ready to stop wandering and start ascending, I invite you to explore the 3 keys to a prosperous life. This is not just a collection of words. It is a complete trilogy, available as an ebook for deep study and an audiobook for immersion, designed specifically for those who know they are called for more. It delivers a practical step-by-step map for the chosen to finally awaken to who they really are, to heal the invisible traumas that have acted as silent brakes on your potential, and to expand your reality with unshakable stability. It teaches you how to receive, sustain, and multiply your blessings without the heavy burden of guilt that often plagues the spiritual seeker. If this resonates with your spirit, you can find the link in the pinned comment or description below to begin this journey. Returning to this shift, we must understand that the exhaustion you have felt when interacting with the superficiality of the world was not introversion. It was the friction caused by your expansive spiritual nature grinding against the contraction of the material world. Yesterday, metaphysically speaking, a judgment took place. But fear not the word judgment, for in the high courts of the mind, this was not a condemnation, but a vindication. The archangels mentioned in ancient scriptures are not merely winged beings in the clouds. They represent the primordial forces of creation, the witnesses to your imagination. And what shocked these forces on February 11th was not the volume of your prayers, for the heavens are deaf to empty shouting. What stopped the celestial courts in their tracks was your silence. It was your capacity to maintain the integrity of your ideal when the world of senses screamed the opposite. Neville Goddard taught us that nobody changes unless they change themselves, and the universe witnessed you changing your internal reaction to external chaos. They saw you refuse the bitter cup of resentment when you were betrayed. They watched you hold the vision of abundance when the bank account showed scarcity. This silent resistance is the only language God understands, because God is your own wonderful human imagination. That night, while the rest of the world slept in the unconscious drift of the status quo, a transaction was finalized. The subconscious, which usually requires repetition and force, accepted the new impression you gave it through your sheer fidelity. The verdict has been sealed. There are no more ifs or maybes. The authorization for your next chapter was granted not because of what you did with your hands, but because of the quality of your state of consciousness. If this message is confirming a deep knowing within you, take a moment to like this video, signaling to the algorithm and to your own mind that you are aligned with this truth. Now you are stepping onto what Neville called the bridge of incidents. This is where the faint of heart often panic, for the changes that begin to manifest from this point forward may initially seem disconcerting. You might notice people drifting away without explanation, doors that once seemed open suddenly slamming shut, or a sudden, unexplained lack of interest in old habits that used to bring you comfort. The human ego, terrified of change, screams that this is loss. But the spirit knows it is rearrangement. The universe is moving under compulsion to accommodate your new concept of self. You cannot put new wine into old wineskins, and your life is being cleared of the debris that cannot vibrate at the frequency of your new reality. The solitude you may be feeling right now is not abandonment, it is the Sabbath. In the mystical sense, the Sabbath is not a day of the week, but a state of mental rest that follows a successful conception. God, your consciousness, rested on the seventh day, not out of fatigue, but because the work was finished. You must enter this rest. Anxiety is simply the evidence that you do not yet believe you have what you asked for. Conversely, that strange, deep peace that is beginning to invade your moments of isolation is the proof that the spiritual pregnancy is real. The child, your desire, is alive and growing, even if it is not yet visible to the naked eye. What occurred on that silent date was the removal of the final spiritual obstacle. For years, you have faced a resistance, a force that seemed determined to wear down your self-image. That force has been neutralized by the authority of your own I am. You are no longer fighting to get to the destination. You are walking toward a physical appointment with what already exists in the spiritual realm. The archangels, those forces of universal law, are now working in your favor, moving coincidences and circumstances to bring to light what was decided in the dark. Your only task now is not to force the doors open, but to maintain the dignity of one who has already been chosen and approved. The decree is signed. The physical world is merely a delayed mirror, and it now has no choice but to reflect the glory of this absurd night, provided you do not break the reflection by checking it too often. This brings us to the delicate nature of the days ahead. As the bridge of incidents unfolds, you will be tempted to react to the temporary chaos of construction. You may see the scaffolding of your life coming down and mistake it for destruction, when in reality it is the dismantling of a prison. It is vital that you remain the observer of these shifts rather than the victim of them. When a sudden challenge arises tomorrow or next week, pause and recognize it as a necessary plot twist in the story that has already been written in your favor. The silence you held during the trial must now become the composure you hold during the transition. But there is a specific way to navigate this transition without losing your balance, a method of observing without absorbing, which separates the masters from the students. To master this separation, you must understand that your attention is not merely a spotlight, it is the fuel of existence. When you react emotionally to a problem, you are essentially signing a check from your spiritual bank account to fund the continuation of that problem. The master knows that the external world is a feedback loop that feeds on reaction. Therefore, the method of observing without observing requires you to look at the chaos of your life as if you were a director watching a scene on a monitor rather than the actor bleeding on the stage. You acknowledge the script has taken a dark turn, but you remember you hold the pen. You step back into the silence of your own being, creating a sacred gap between the trigger and your response. In that gap, you find your freedom. It is in this precise moment of withholding reaction that you reclaim your energy from the old timeline, starving the weeds of your past so that the flowers of your future may breathe. However, navigating this gap requires more than just willpower. It requires a structured understanding of the laws that govern this expansion, a map for the terrain you are now entering. If you feel that you are ready to stop stumbling through these transitions and instead walk through them with the grace of a king or queen reclaiming their throne, I invite you to explore the 3 keys to a prosperous life. This is not just a collection of ideas, but a complete trilogy designed specifically for the chosen who are awakening to their power. It serves as a practical map to help you dissolve the invisible traumas that keep you looping in the past, and it teaches you how to receive, sustain, and multiply your blessings without the guilt that has been programmed into you. Whether you prefer to read the ebook or absorb the wisdom through the audiobook, this trilogy is the companion you need to stabilize your frequency during this critical shift. You can find the link to this resource in the pinned comment or description below. It is time to equip yourself with the tools that turn potential into permanent reality. Returning to the architecture of your transition, we must address the biological component of this spiritual shift, for this is where most aspirants fail. You may have the mind of a god, but you are currently operating through the nervous system of a primate that is addicted to familiarity. When you begin to change your concept of self, your body will go into withdrawal. This is not a metaphor. Your cells have chemically adapted to the peptides of stress, struggle, and limitation that you have fed them for decades. When you enter the Sabbath, that state of peace and wish fulfilled, your body stops receiving its daily dose of cortisol and adrenaline associated with your old survival mode. It will panic. It will send signals to your brain, creating artificial anxiety, phantom fears, and sudden bouts of irritability, all in a desperate attempt to force you back into the old emotional patterns that it recognizes as safe. You must realize that this anxiety is not a sign that something is going wrong. It is the somatic evidence that the exorcism of the old self is working. If you are finding value in this breakdown of the spiritual anatomy, please take a moment to click the like button. It signals to the algorithm that this knowledge is vital, helping us reach others who are currently lost in the fog of their own transformation. As you stand firm against the chemical tantrums of the body, you will begin to notice the second phase of the bridge of incidence, the phenomenon of the time lag. Imagine looking up at the night sky. The starlight you see tonight actually left its source millions of years ago. The star itself might have already died, but its light is still landing on your retina. Your current physical reality operates on the same principle. The circumstances you are living today, your bank balance, your relationships, your health, are the starlight of your past thoughts and assumptions. They are the delayed reflection of who you used to be. The mistake the student makes is looking at the dead star of their current reality and reacting to it as if it is alive. They see the lack in their bank account and say, "I am poor," thereby creating a fresh wave of poverty that will manifest in the future. The master looks at the lack, recognizes it as the fading echo of a past vibration, and withdraws their attention, refusing to grant it a future. You must learn to walk through the wreckage of your old life without describing it. Do not name it. Do not complain about it to your friends. Do not journal about it. Let the dead bury the dead. This discipline of silence is perhaps the most arduous task you will undertake. There is a seductive comfort in victimhood, a strange pleasure in sharing our woes and having them validated by others. But every time you verbalize a problem, you are solidifying the cement around your feet. You are witnessing against yourself. The bridge of incidence is often slippery and steep, and to traverse it, you must keep your eyes fixed on the horizon of your desire, not the stones beneath your feet. When you encounter a setback, a rejected application, an unexpected bill, a cold shoulder, you must immediately revise it in the moment. This is the technique of instant revision. Do not wait until the end of the day. As the negative report lands in your ears, hear it differently in your mind. Overlay the sensory data of the world with the sensory data of your wish fulfilled. If the world says no, you hear "not yet," because something better is coming. You are the editor of your reality, and you have the power to cut the scenes that do not serve the narrative of your glory. If you are committed to mastering this editorial power over your life, consider subscribing to the channel. We are building a sanctuary here for those who refuse to be mere spectators of their fate, and your presence strengthens the collective intent. As you deepen your practice of revision and observation, you will inevitably encounter the crab bucket phenomenon. This is a crude but accurate description of how your social environment responds to your elevation. When one crab tries to escape the bucket, the others will pull it back down, not out of malice, but out of instinct. The people around you, even those who love you, hold a fixed image of who you are. They rely on your predictability to maintain their own sense of security. When you change your frequency, you disrupt the energetic contract you had with them. You may find that friends become irrationally critical, family members pick fights over trivialities, or colleagues try to undermine you. Do not take this personally. They are reacting to the light you are emitting, which casts a shadow on their own stagnation. They are not fighting you. They are fighting the loss of the version of you that made them comfortable. Your response to this resistance must be compassion, but from a distance. You do not need to explain your transformation to them. In fact, explaining is often a form of leaking energy. You are trying to get their permission to change, but you do not need a visa to enter your own future. Keep your visions close to your chest. The alchemical vessel must be hermetically sealed to build the pressure required for transmutation. If you open the lid to show everyone what is cooking, the heat escapes and the reaction stops. Share your dreams only with those who are vibrating at the same level or higher, those who can hold the vision with you, not those who will poke holes in it with their realism. Realism is just the socially acceptable term for a lack of imagination. You are not here to be realistic, you are here to be miraculous. There is a subtle danger, however, in becoming too isolated or arrogant in this understanding. You must remain humble, not in the sense of making yourself small, but in the sense of recognizing that the power flowing through you is not of your little ego, but of the universal I am. The ego wants to say, I am doing this, I am making this happen. The spirit says, I am allowing this to flow. When you force the bridge of incidents, trying to micromanage every coincidence, you introduce resistance. You act like a gardener who plants a seed and then digs it up every hour to see if it has roots. You must trust the dark soil of the subconscious. The seed knows how to become a flower. Your desire knows how to become a fact. Your job is to provide the water of faith and the sunlight of attention, and then step back. As you maintain this delicate balance of intention and surrender, you will begin to see the birds of land. Fudendi. In the old maritime days, sailors knew they were close to shore, not because they could see the continent, but because they saw land birds flying over the ocean, or driftwood floating in the currents. In your life, these signs will appear as synchronicities. You might overhear a conversation that perfectly answers a question you asked in your mind. You might see the specific car you want to drive 3 times in one day. You might receive a small, unexpected sum of money just after visualizing abundance. These are not coincidences. They are the universe winking at you. They are the initial ripples of the tidal wave that is approaching. Acknowledge them with gratitude. Say to yourself, I see this and I accept it as evidence that my harvest is near. Gratitude is the magnetic force that pulls the event closer. It collapses the time between the sign and the manifestation. But be warned, just before the land appears, the storm often intensifies. This is the terror of the threshold. It is the final exam. The old reality, sensing its imminent death, will often throw its most convincing illusion at you. You might face a sudden financial crisis, a health scare, or a relationship breakdown, right when you felt you were making progress. This is the moment where most people fold. They say, I tried this spiritual stuff, and look, my life got worse. They turn back the ship just as the harbor is coming into view. You must understand that this chaos is the dust being kicked up by the renovation. When you tear down an old wall to expand a room, there is debris, noise, and confusion. It looks like destruction, but it is actually expansion. Stand firm in the dust, cough if you must, but do not leave the construction site. This intensification is the surest sign that the breakthrough is imminent. The night is darkest just before the dawn, not as a poetic cliché, but as a metaphysical law. The pressure builds to the breaking point to shatter the shell of the old form. If you have experienced this darkness before dawn and survived it, share a brief "I am still here" in the comments. Your testimony serves as a beacon for those currently navigating the storm. Now let us discuss the quality of the new you that must emerge on the other side of this bridge. You cannot drag your old identity into the new dimension. It is energetically impossible. Many people want the $1 million, but they want to remain the same insecure, scarcity-minded person, just with a full bank account. It does not work that way. Money, love, and health are states of consciousness before they are physical facts. To sustain the blessing, you must become the person who naturally has it. This involves a complete restructuring of your internal dialogue. What does the wealthy version of you think about when they wake up? What does the happily married version of you feel when they look in the mirror? You must practice wearing this new identity like a suit of clothes until it stops feeling like a costume and starts feeling like your skin. This practice is often called acting as if, but a better term is thinking from. You are not pretending. You are projecting your consciousness to the end state and viewing the world from that vantage point. When you are thinking of your desire, you are looking at it as something separate from you, something you lack. This creates distance. When you are thinking from your desire, you are looking out at the world through the eyes of the person who already has it. You feel the relief, the stability, and the gratitude of fulfillment. This shift in perspective is the key that unlocks the door. It collapses the separation between subject and object. You and your desire become one. As you practice thinking from, you will notice a change in your memory. This is a profound and often overlooked aspect of manifestation. We usually think of memory as a record of the past, but in the quantum field, memory is a creative act. Every time you remember a past trauma with emotion, you are recreating it in the present and projecting it into the future. You are revitalizing the old timeline. To truly shift, you must practice future memory. You must remember your future with the same sensory vividness that you remember your past. Construct a scene that implies your wish is fulfilled, a handshake, a signature, a hug, and replay it in your mind until it has the tones of reality. When you can recall this imaginal act with the same familiarity as you recall what you had for breakfast, you have successfully imprinted the subconscious. The subconscious cannot tell the difference between a real event and a vividly imagined one. Once it accepts the imaginal act as a fact, it will move heaven and earth to externalize it. This brings us to the concept of mental diet. Just as you cannot expect to have a healthy body if you eat poison, you cannot expect to have a prosperous life if you consume mental garbage. Every thought, every news headline you obsess over, every gossip session you participate in is food for your mind. If you feed on fear, outrage, and judgment, you are metabolizing sickness. You must become a ruthless guardian of the unparalleled gateway of your mind. If a thought does not align with the version of yourself you are building, deny it entry. This does not mean you suppress negative thoughts. Suppression only pushes them into the shadow where they grow stronger. Instead, you observe the negative thought. Recognize it as a remnant of the old program and gently replace it with a higher truth. You say, "I hear you, fear," but you are no longer the captain of this ship. If you are ready to commit to a strict mental diet, verify your notification settings are active. We post these reminders to serve as checkpoints in your day, helping you realign when the world tries to pull you off center. There is a mysterious acceleration that occurs when you finally let go of the how. The human intellect is obsessed with the mechanics of cause and effect. It wants to know the steps. A leads to B, which leads to C. But the spirit operates on a non-linear plane. When you live in the end, you often bypass the logical intermediate steps entirely. Solutions appear from angles you didn't even know existed. A stranger offers an opportunity. A rule is changed in your favor. A mistake turns out to be a blessing. This is why you must not dictate the means. If you insist that your wealth must come from a lottery win, you close the door on the millions of other channels the universe has at its disposal. You are limiting the infinite to the size of your own understanding. Your responsibility is the what, the clear, defined desire. The how is the domain of the higher self. Trusting this division of labor is the ultimate act of faith. Consider the bamboo farmer. For years, he waters the ground and sees nothing. The surface is barren. To the uninitiated eye, he is wasting his time. But underneath, a massive root system is developing, spreading wide and deep to anchor the structure that is to come. Then, in a matter of weeks, the bamboo shoots up 90 feet into the air. If the bamboo had tried to shoot up before the roots were ready, it would have collapsed under its own weight. You are in the root-building phase. The silence, the delays, the solitude. This is your root system expanding. You are being prepared to hold the weight of your glory. Do not despise the days of small beginnings. The height of your success will be directly proportional to the depth of your surrender during this time of obscurity. As you continue to walk this path, you will eventually reach a state of naturalness. This is the final indicator that manifestation is at the door. In the beginning, your desire feels exciting, perhaps even thrilling. But as you merge with it, the thrill settles into a deep, quiet knowing. It begins to feel natural for you to be wealthy, natural for you to be loved, natural for you to be healthy. The desperation fades because you do not hunger for what you already are. When the feeling of the wish fulfilled becomes as natural as your own name, the physical world has no choice but to harden into that fact. It is law. There is no struggle in naturalness. You do not strain to be yourself. You simply are. When you reach this point, you stop looking for signs. You stop checking the time. You are no longer waiting for the train to arrive. You are sitting on the train, watching the scenery pass by, knowing your destination is inevitable. But what happens when the manifestation finally arrives? This is a question few ask, yet it is crucial. The arrival of the desire is not the end of the work. It is the beginning of a new level of stewardship. Many receive the blessing only to lose it because they stop doing the things that brought it to them. They stop the visualization, they stop the gratitude, they let their mental diet slip, they return to the old wineskins, and the new wine spills. You must understand that the state of consciousness that attracts the blessing is the same state required to maintain it. You must continue to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled even after it is fulfilled physically. This is how you stabilize the timeline and prevent the pendulum from swinging back to lack. You are not just obtaining a temporary relief. You are building a permanent dwelling place for your spirit. Let us look deeper into the concept of brazen impudence. This is a term used by the mystics to describe the audacity required to claim your good in the face of contrary evidence. It is not arrogance toward others, but a holy rebellion against the limitations of the senses. When the world tells you it is impossible, brazen impudence smiles and says, "It is done." It takes a certain wildness of spirit to deny the testimony of your eyes and ears in favor of the testimony of your heart. You must be willing to look foolish to the world in order to be wise in the eyes of God. The world respects results, and eventually your results will speak so loudly that your critics will be silenced. But until then, you must be your own validator. You must be the one who claps for yourself in the dark. This internal validation builds a fortress around your energy. You stop leaking power-seeking approval. You become a closed circuit of divine power. This does not mean you become cold or unfeeling. On the contrary, you become a source of warmth because you are no longer extracting energy from others to sustain your self-worth. You become a sun, generating your own light, and naturally planets, opportunities, people, resources begin to orbit around you. This is the physics of charisma. It is the gravitational pull of a soul that is whole and complete within itself. As you embody this wholeness, you will notice that your impact on others changes. You heal people simply by being in their presence. Your calmness acts as a tuning fork. bringing their chaotic nervous systems into resonance with your peace. This is the true meaning of being a light of the world. It is not about preaching on street corners. It is about vibrating at a frequency of solution so that when problems enter your field, they dissolve. You become a walking benediction. This is the ultimate purpose of your desire. It was never just about the car or the house or the partner. Those were just the toys the universe used to entice you into developing your spiritual muscles. The real prize is the person you have become in the process, a conscious creator, awake in a world of sleepers. However, even the master must be vigilant against the phantom limb of the old self. Just as an amputee still feels the itch of a missing limb, you may occasionally feel the phantom itch of your old insecurities and habits. A sudden wave of unworthiness may wash over you for no apparent reason. Do not be alarmed. Do not analyze it. Simply recognize it as a phantom. It has no substance. It is a memory trace firing in the brain. If you scratch it, you give it life. If you ignore it, it fades. Treat these relapses with G